Good evening and welcome to the March 1st, 2023 special meeting of the Gates County Board of Commissioners. I am Dr. L. Theoretic, the 2023 Chair of the Board. I'm joined this evening by Commissioner Jonathan Craddock, Vice Chair, Commissioner Linda Hoffler, Commissioner Brian Roundtree, Commissioner Emily Truman, County Manager Scott Sauer, County Attorney Pitt Godwin, and Clerk to the Board, Jaleesa Chestnut. We will now be led in prayer and pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Craddock.
Let us pray. Dear Father God, we come to you tonight to say thanks. Thank you for this day you have made, and let us rejoice and be glad. Father God, we ask you to settle down with us tonight as we conduct county business. Please lay your hand upon us tonight and make sure we are doing the right thing for all the citizens and the best fit for this county. We ask all these things in your name, the name above all names, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we proceed with the business of this evening, I want to call Sheriff Ray Campbell to the podium.
Giving me a minute, but I'm really excited to be able to do this. I don't know if any of y'all have ever heard of a challenge coin, but over the years in my law enforcement career, I've collected quite a few. I've got challenge coins from the State Highway Patrol. I've got challenge coins from the United States Coast Guard. I've got challenge coins from multiple different agencies. Gates County has never had a challenge coin. The Sheriff's Office has not until today. So I am thrilled to death with our coins, and I'd like to give each one of them.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Very cool.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Sheriff Campbell.
Actually, I'm very proud of these. We've had these things on order for about 3 months, and we just got them in this morning. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice for computers.
Need a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
And properly moved and second that we approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
First on the agenda is advertisement of tax liens on real property. County Manager, Mrs. Sauer.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, it's that time of the year when the state's budget and tax calendar calls for certain actions by the board, one of which is a requirement that the tax administrator prepare a list of all unpaid taxes as of January. To save a little paper on your agenda package, I've got a single copy that we could pass around, or we can keep in the clerk's office, but it's a very detailed list. And with approval tonight, these figures and accounts will be published in the newspaper later in March. And this is a requirement of the North Carolina General Statutes. There is a proposed motion on the bottom of this item, and I would ask for your support.
It's something we do every year, so I make a motion that we approve the publication of the delinquent taxes.
I second that motion.
And properly moved and second that we allow the advertisement of unpaid taxes for the fiscal year 2022-2023 as set forth in the above statute. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. If you look, Commissioners, if you look at the end of each one of the presentations, you will see the motion that got a little cheat sheet for you. Okay. Second item is Board of Equalization and Review Calendar. Mr. Sauer.
Again, in keeping with the calendar established by the North Carolina General Statutes, Mr. Chris Hill has been coordinating with Jaleesa to line up the Board of Equalization and Review meetings with your Board of Commissioner meetings during the months of May and April. Those dates are proposed for April 19th and May 17th.
have a motion?
Make the motion to authorize the advertisement of the public notice for April 19th and May 17th for the opening and closing periods of the Board of Equalization and Review.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. That was Commissioner Truman and Commissioner Hoffler. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. The third item on our agenda is the master plan design for the Gates County Merchants Commerce Center property. Mr. Sauer.
Item next is administrative in nature as well. There's been a lot of staff work regarding the 140-acre tract that's known as the Merchants Commerce Center or Merchants Commerce Park. And as we move toward the design phase, the next step is the development of a master plan for that site. There is a concept plan that is just that, a concept plan, a work in progress that's been prepared. There's one at each of your desks. There is a large copy up front, and I believe we've got the ability to communicate this on the YouTube channel as well. In order to move forward, we will be working with the Summit Design firm. That's correct.
Okay.
And it provides for community engagement, citizen participation. So this will be a dynamic and interactive process where many of our residents in Gates County will be able to participate.
It just means that we don't have to go through where we have to get two or three people to bid items.
That's correct.
It's, you can accept it with one, if it's under 50,000.
Do we have a motion?
So move.
The motion is to exempt the master plan project for the Gates County Merchants Commerce Center property as authorized by NCGS 143-64.32 and engage Summit Design and Engineering Services in an amount not to exceed $42,000.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Next is the Gates County Community Center Facilities Conditions Assessment. Mr. Sauer.
As the governing body will recall, at your last meeting on February 15th, you gave approval to set up a capital project ordinance for the Gates Community Center. One of the first steps in that process is a facilities conditions assessment. And again, in order to work through the administrative requirements for the selection of the engineer for that phase of the project, we are suggesting that the board entertain a motion to exempt the facilities condition assessment for the Gates County Community Center, and that this project will not exceed $42,000. Just happens to be the same dollar amount as the other pricing.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And I'll second that.
Been properly motion and second that we exempt the facilities conditions assessment project for the Gates County Merchants Community Center as authorized by the statute and engage Summit Design and Engineering Services in an amount not to exceed $42,000. All in favor? Aye. Mr. Sauer, Community Garden Project.
Thank you. During my first couple of days in Gates County, I learned about a community garden project that was funded through a grant from what I've always called Vidant, but it's ECU Health. There is a local committee that's been put together. I understand that Commissioner Roundtree is a part of that organization. There had been some dialogue about the possibility of having multiple sites, but it's my understanding that there's only enough money to do a single site. And when the committee met, they were very enthusiastic in recommending that we stay at the Gates Community Center and revitalize and revamp an existing community garden that's been in need of some upgrades. So I would, this item does not require any action. It's for information, and the committee, I believe, is ready to start work and raking and shoveling and mulching and whatever else they need to do.
Hopefully picking vegetables.
Okay, no action required for that, that's for information only.
Item next, Roman numeral 6, relates to the federal ARPA funds. We're coming up on the next reporting cycle, which will be due, I believe it's the end of April. This item is to really give the board and the public a forecast of some action that's going to be required of the governing body as they proceed with the use of these ARPA funds. The federal government and with administration through the state of North Carolina are requiring that every local government, city and county, adopt a number of administrative policies that are in draft form right now. We hope to have them in your hands within 30 days, maybe sooner. And just to highlight the categories: records retention, eligible cost policy, allowable cost policy, civil rights compliance policy, and a conflict of interest policy. And I believe there was some mention at your last meeting, February 15th, about some of the items that have been proposed to be on the ARPA project list. Those are itemized on the second page. The board will have flexibility to adjust that as we develop the capital project ordinance for this. But this is the list that I believe was mentioned at the last meeting, but gives an itemization, so it'll be on public record and available for everyone to see. It starts with the remote radio read meters for the water department. That's 1.2 million. Broadband, the local match is 500,000. The automatic defibrillators, that's 62,500. As I recall, there are some critically needed fire hydrants that are either missing or out of service. 15 of those totaling 75,000. There's a technology upgrade that I believe involves a T1 fiber line. Mr. Curry would have to help explain that if I need, but that's 200,000. There is 15,000 for some software in the Public Utilities Department, some computers and printers at 10,005, a grant writer for ARPA projects only, 40,000, and $90,000 for an emergency management vehicle. That total right now is a full allocation of Gates County's ARPA funding that's on record, $2,193,000.
And I would like to add that Mr. Sauer and myself engaged the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners in getting all these requirements in writing. They sent us templates. They're very helpful. They sent us templates for all the policies and the ordinance, and they talked with us over almost an hour, walking us through different legal requirements. And they also offered help going forward as we move forward. We have to get the county manager, Mr. Sauer, into the portal so that he can have authorization to go in and do certain things. And we have to have another person that we're going to identify. We also have to identify someone as the records retention specialist. That person will have control or oversight of all the records. That's very important because these reporting requirements require that we do a single audit once we start spending money. That means that when the auditor comes, not only will he audit our records, but he audits ours separately. So everything has to be evident and legal and in line. So they made that quite clear. This list probably will be amended because the cost of each one of them, not of each one of them, most of them have been padded because we don't know what inflation is going to do when we start ordering these requirements. And we try to make it so they're non-recurring costs, things we could not afford in our general fund, that we can take off somebody's departmental list. So we will be probably amending that because we have to have all the funds expended by December 2026. That's not a long time. But we had to obligate them by December 2024. We went on and started that so we can get this money in the pipeline and get it spent. So I just wanted to say that this has been a long process. It will continue. And like Mr. Sauer said, it can be amended. They made that clear that that's because we put that in the portal or getting it in the ordinance and everything. We can add or subtract as we go forward.
And at the appropriate time, I will be making a recommendation regarding the retention of these records and the management of these compliance documents. And I don't know if I've told her yet, but I was going to recommend Ms. Chestnut in the clerk's office. Because she's the closest person I can get my hands on when the state auditor calls and has a question about Gates County. But we'll have more for the board on that later.
Yes, Madam Clerk, he did tell me that he was going to talk to you about that. So yes, I'm complicit in it. Surprise. I can see Marisa know that's just saying yes. No more for Marie. No more for Marie. Let me turn back over here. Okay. Mr. Sauer, do we need a motion for approval?
No,
Okay.
no, this
Just
was
making
strictly
sure.
information. at
Information,
this stage.
right. I thought so. I'm making sure. The next item is Public Utilities Project Updates and Future Board Action Requirements. Mr. Sauer?
Again, this is an item for discussion, awareness, general information. Again, at the board's last meeting, you took action to address the revenue deficit within the water system. Rates have been presented and approved, which will go into effect the 1st of April. As I understand it, the billing and the collection of those revenues at the higher rate will not occur until May and beyond. There are a few things that we need to prepare. We've had some policies that I guess you'd say have become either inactive or stagnant as it relates to write-off policies for accounts that have not been paid. And this will actually apply both to water and to your landfill fees in the county. The other policy we'd like to talk to you about is the cutoff policy, because we do have some cash flow issues with funds that are due to Gates County that have not been coming in due to lack of payment. I'm going to ask Mr. Arnold to come up and help me with this, but just as an example, if we look only at the active accounts of people using Gates County water that haven't paid a water bill in 4 months or more, I understand some of these folks may have not have paid within a year, that's about 132 accounts and is calculated at about $55,000. But there are lots of other accounts that are either inactive due to a house being vacant or other reasons, and we will be preparing reports, some updated procedures and policies, and do our best to get the awareness of the general public out there and work with the media and probably through Facebook and other instruments to share the information. But it looks like with the amount of unallocated or unaccounted for water that the board has examined in the last 12 or so months, we've really got to get much more active in bringing that revenue where it really belongs, here at the cash register in Gates County. So with that, I'm going to tee it off to my new colleague, Brad Arnold.
Okay.
Well, I'm just going to give a few updates as far as where we're at with, well, first off, I'll start off by the major projects we have, our upcoming projects. First off, we're still fixing water leaks all throughout the county. We fixed 6 this week so far. Well, excuse me, from Friday till now, we've fixed 6. We're still installing taps. And the meters, I have got 2 proposals in. Hopefully I will have the 3rd proposal by Friday, is what I was promised at about 5:30 this afternoon. I've been waiting on it for a couple weeks, but hopefully by Friday I'll have the 3rd one in. So that's where we're at as far as the meter project. I discussed with Mr. Sauer that, today, right before the meeting, about possibly using the code red to send out a call to everyone, maybe around the 15th or the 18th of the month, just to re-verify that the fees will be going up on April the 1st, and all I hate to say service fee or reconnect fees will be back established as of April the 1st, if the board is
We
fine
will
with
have
that.
formal recommendations for
Yes.
at your next meeting, but
Yes, but
we're
on
just
the
trying to
15th.
forecast this momentum is building, and we're trying to put all the pieces together. But we really felt that the board and the public needed to be aware that these actions are being followed through on.
Okay.
That was due to part of the verbiage that was on the water bill originally.
Right.
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 And as far as, it's not really a project, but it's just an update. Mr. Sauer and myself will be attending the funding workshop on March the 9th in Williamston through NCDEQ. Myself, Dr. Reddick, and Ms. Hoffler attended it last year. And I believe you said that Green Engineering is preparing for the fall as we
Yes.
speak. So. And that's pretty much it on the water side. On the sewer side, give an update on the new spray field or SBR plant. We had the training a couple weeks ago, the 2-day training. They came down. They also did another assessment while they were here, being I had replaced the HDMI screen and all that, and we found a few issues, dissolved oxygen meter. I don't know if any of y'all know what I'm talking about, but that was bad. There's a valve that is not talking back and forth to the main computer. We have to get under a contract, well, I think it's going to be a contract as far as now for a sludge tank. And I have to replace a water level sensor in the pre-equalization basin. All those items have been ordered. I'm just waiting for them to come in. They said 6 to 8 weeks lead time. So it's been about 3 weeks now, so hopefully they'll be in within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
And this is with the spray field?
With the new spray field, yes, ma'am. And that's pretty much all I have at this point.
Are there any questions for Mr. Sauer or Mr. Arnold?
Let me ask you a question, and someone asked me this. Did a call go like today about a problem, a glitch with the bills?
Yes, ma'am, it went out this morning, there was some kind of glitch in the billing system. It sent out some wrong figures on bills. And we did, Shayna and Daphne, I believe, sent out a code red call for the customers to call to get their actual water bill, what they owe.
Well, that was very good. I'm glad you inform the citizens so they know what is happening. So, and of course, I guess they have to call in to you to find out what they really owe.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, not you, but
According to Shayna, there have been a lot of calls today.
But no, but that's being proactive, get that word out to the public. There was a problem. We all have problems with.
Well, and the
electric.
credit really goes to the staff that identified it and took it and ran with it, and that's Ms. Shannon and Ms. Daphne.
And Daphne, yes.
Those two worked together very, very well, and I believe it was Shanna's voice that was on the robocall, and I think it's always nice to have a friendly voice on one of those robocalls.
And it's also nice to let the people know, be proactive.
Yes, it was very good on their part, because I didn't know it till about 2 o'clock this afternoon. I didn't know
saw
it.
on Facebook.
Well, they did the right thing.
Yes, they did.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Arnold.
All right.
The next item on the agenda is opiate, supplemental settlement, and board resolution.
If the avalanche wasn't large enough yet, there's another wave of administrative details that the board will need to tend to, and I've had consultation with the county attorney, and there will be, I believe it's 5 individual sets of settlement documents. And if I read this right, it's CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, Allergen, and Teva. And this has been worked on at the state level with the Association of County Commissioners, the Attorney General's office, but there will be a resolution that will have to be adopted by the Gates County Board of Commissioners no later than April 18th. So we will be working to have all those. I say we, he, the attorney and I will be working to make sure that all comes together, but he's been very, very helpful to keep us between the rails on that one.
Okay? So that's just for information only. Heads up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Number 9 is the CDBG housing project update.
Yes, I think it was about a week or 10 days ago, the county attorney and I met with McDavid's representative, Mike Barnett, and we had a long conversation about the importance of meeting the June 30 deadline for the CDBG projects. We've got several that need to be acted upon, and a couple of them had just minor issues. For example, the exhaust pipe, the vent pipe for the plumbing had not been extended through the roof on 2 of the homes. And my understanding is that work on those 2 homes was completed in less than a week. I believe one of those was 717 Carter's Road in Gatesville. The other one was 755 Wellington Road in Gates. And then the next item, I'm going to ask for another visual aid. If Mr. Curry can help me out. The project manager, Mr. Barnett, sent a photo of the site preparation for the house that you've probably had the most calls on, 309 Tuggy Ure Road.
So, Mr. Attorney, you are confident that the meeting that you had with the representative and with Mr. Sauer was very positive?
Yes, I'm very pleased that the meeting went the way it did, and I think we got McDavid's attention. Mr. Barnett was very clear that he wants to get the job done and finished as much as we want it done. And the next day, sent us the picture of what had been, the work that had been done. And as indicated by interim county manager, Mr. Sauer, he gave a deadline in March, which I was a little bit, since he has until June, I'd like to see it, everybody would like to see it be finished by March.
One of the things that we are concerned with, Mr. Sauer, is that once the house is down, we have to close out that grant. And that's going to take a lot of work on the administrative staff. I'm looking at Marie.
Well, Marie was a part of that meeting as well.
Yeah. So we know we have to not only get that house down, but get that grant closed out. And I've asked, I think I talked to you yesterday about Miss Arnetta, and I talked to you this morning about Miss Arnetta. That's the North Carolina Department of Commerce. We need to hear from them as far as that summary from the site visit that they did a month ago. We haven't received anything from them, so if you could follow up on that,
Okay.
one of you, both of you, somebody, so
Will do.
we'll know where we are with them. And I thank both of y'all for working on that, for getting this moved on.
Keep them on the twos.
Okay. The last is the legislative updates. Mr. Sauer.
The General Assembly is hard at work, and if you monitor the news or television, you'll see all sorts of articles about different activities. We are fortunate in Gates County that we've got a couple of members in the General Assembly, Mr. Bill Ward in the House, Mr. Bobby Hennig in the Senate, who are apparently working arm in arm, hand in hand, to talk with all of their member counties to see what projects could really use a boost as they try to evaluate any available funds that could be made in the form of an appropriation directly to Gates County. In front of your desk, there is a list that needed to be assembled rather quickly for Mr. Ward as he was preparing to go into some appropriation meetings. Top of the list was some land clearing, grading, stormwater management, retention ponds for the Merchants Commerce site. That's $750,000. The Gates Community Center Phase 2. This is a ballpark estimate because there's no telling what we're going to find when those engineers get in and start removing sections of exterior walls to see where the moisture's coming through. Because again, a large portion of that $500,000 that you've already obtained, as I understand it, will be dedicated to the roof replacement. And unfortunately, everybody we talk to, the costs are escalating with inflation. The next two fall back on Mr. Arnold's court. And you've probably seen the projects listed in your CIP, as you recall, but for the town of Gatesville's system, which is Gates County's system that had been acquired some years ago, there's a complete revamping and replacement of the elevated water tank, numerous miles of water lines, valves, meters, and hydrants. And that figure has just been revised by our project engineer with Green to $5.9 million. On the wastewater side, which again, Mr. Arnold just spoke to, as we try to rehabilitate the old wastewater treatment plant and get out from under the moratorium and the notice of violation, that work is now estimated at just under $2.2 million. And Mr. Ward Representative Ward was very adamant that he will be taking these items to the appropriate committees and doing his best to try to have some of this allocated back to Gates County. So when you bump into our members of the legislature, please thank them because they really are looking out for all of us.
Are there any questions or comments from the,
I will say that I was surprised for the first time since I've been county attorney to get a phone call from a legislative assistant for Mr. Ward wanting our new county manager's cell phone number last week. So that was a positive to me. That was Mr. Ward trying to get in touch with us.
good? And Mr. Sauer was very instrumental yesterday as a host for the district director for U.S. Representative Don Davis. She was on the ground here yesterday for half a day, and I want to thank you for what you did, Mr. Sauer. She also visited with the superintendent of schools and the board chair, Mr. Felton, yesterday for over an hour. She looked at some of the schools to see what they needed. So that was a good visit yesterday. So we are getting attention from the state and the federal government as far as what the needs are in Gates County. So that's a good thing. So we thank all of our representatives for their attention, especially Mr. Ward. And we plan on having a visit very soon, Mr. Craddock, to Mr. Ward on his playing ground, you and Mr. Sauer. So,
And if I could add again, the representative who is the district director for U.S. Congressman Don Davis is Ms. Kimberly Mack. She lives in Halifax. Her district office, though, is in Greenville. They cover 22 counties. She is that point person when if you're having some issue in Washington as a constituent, whether it be an item with the IRS, an item trying to get a passport expedited, or any number of personal type items where you just don't feel you're getting the attention that you need from the federal government, she will be our voice to put it in the proper form to get it up to Representative Davis. She's a very sharp young woman.
any other comments or questions before we move to adjourn? Everybody's okay? I want to thank Mr. Sauer for the peanuts. He bought us some Bertie County peanuts. Y'all can't see them, but we all got a peanuts. And I also want to thank the sheriff for this beautiful, beautiful symbol that he's given us. With, look on the back of it, Scott. It's courthouse.
That courthouse in Merchants Mill
Yeah,
Pond.
Murphy Mill Pond. So this is right on time with the Mill Pond getting ready to celebrate their 50th anniversary in the county. If there's nothing else, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?